Hello, everybody. So this is going to be the second class today on a similar but slightly different theme. We're going to talk about personal experience as we did in the former class, but this time, instead of focusing on how we would represent a place, we were doing personal maps. We're going to focus on, give me just a second, I have to turn off my audio. There we go. We're going to focus on the news. So I wrote, the title is Personal Headlines, and what I'd like to do is start by looking at headlines, decide how we can create realistic sounding headlines, what makes a headline interesting, and then we want to either change the headline that's in the news, one that's out there about where you live, or create a personal one, some news that is perhaps should be news but isn't news. So we're going to start by just looking, for example, at the New York Times or the Guardian, something like that, to see what really goes into a headline. How do we give only the essential information? We're going to maybe look at a technique for that. We're going to start by removing the unnecessary words until we can find the essential words to create the headline. And then we're going to discuss our headlines. So I want everyone to create one headline, and then in the second half of class, we're going to really discuss the news from your point of view. So that's the plan. And just a quick word. In the last class, I had a microphone issue in the beginning, so you couldn't hear what I was saying. So just to repeat what I was saying before about premium subscribers. Being a premium member is a really good idea because it allows you to get a place in class. It allows you to join without having to wait. You can reserve it in advance. And if you're not sure whether you want to be a premium subscriber, no problem, because you can test it out, and I think you'll see that it's the right decision. You can send invitations, for example, to friends, and that will give you a place in class. In fact, if you go to the link, you'll see a variety of ways you can do it. So definitely give it a try, and I will always try to cater the classes to the student, so when the premiums show up, I get to know you better, and I can start to work on types of classes and issues that are important to you. So, with that in mind, we're going to get started. I've got some familiar faces, and I want to start with a quick hello to. I hope I'm saying is it Wahid or Wajid? Because I saw you in the last class, but we didn't get a chance. Say again?
Yeah, there is a problem of my mic.
Oh, okay. But you're back.
Yeah.
Say your name for me again so I get the pronunciation right. Wajid.
Yeah.
Okay, where are you from?
I'm from Pakistan.
You're from Pakistan, okay.
Yeah.
Is that you in the picture?
No, it isn't.
Okay. I thought that was you. Are you wearing glasses now? Are you wearing dark glasses?
Yeah.
Okay.
In sunlight.
So we're going to get started in just a moment, looking at a few different headlines. Imad, say hello to us. Hello,
Yeah.
Imad.
Hi, I'm Imad. I'm from Syria. Yeah. Can you hear me?
More or less.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Now I can. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm Imad. I'm from Syria, and right now I'm living in Egypt. And I think this is my second class with you.
Yeah, remember the ego.
And that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Great. So this is going to be an interesting class because we're talking about headlines, and what I think is interesting is taking a look at how the news portrays events. And one of the things I'd like to do is to personalize the headline. So if there's something out there that you would change, we could see the news from your point of view. I can only imagine the headline you're going to give me Emad, considering where you are and what's going on in the world. But you can say whatever you want. There's no particular type of news we're looking for. I want to say hello to, but I can't see what your name is here. So it looks like I just... Say again, please? SAvoy. Hi. Where are you from?
I'm from Iran.
From Iran. Okay, great. So Iran is a really good example because all of the headlines we see in the West,
Yes.
I can imagine that they are very far from reality. I can just imagine. So
Yes.
it would be really great to see your personal take on the news.
Thank you.
Because we see it, even with there's always it doesn't really matter where you are. The media is always going to portray things in the way that its sponsors want it to be portrayed, because it's a commercial venture. You can't get around it. And other kinds of news are not as mainstream. So I'm not really going to compare mainstream news to non-mainstream news. All I really want to do is to get behind the headline and see what's really going on. So that's why I say personal headlines. And we have Gina. Hello, Gina. I don't think I've met you before. Oh, can't hear you, Gina. Turn on your microphone. Microphone. Can't hear you, Gina. Can't hear you. Gina, you got to work on your microphone. We'll come back to you. Okay, so, sorry, go ahead. Who was that? I thought I heard someone. No? Okay. Okay, and Inga, you need no introduction. But you can introduce yourself anyway if you want.
No, I don't want.
Okay, don't. Okay, so Gina, try to fix your microphone or make sure that your microphone is not muted. By the way, I'm going to share my screen quickly, Gina. Just in case it's your first time, look up here where my cursor is. If I turn this red, look what happens.
Yeah.
And then I unmute it, like now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go. Hey, Gina, where are you from?
I'm from Spain.
You're from Spain. Spain's a big country.
Barcelona, but I live in Ireland.
You're from... Oh, did I have you before? I remember talking to someone. No? Okay. And so you live in Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
Are you in Dublin?
No, I'm in Kerry.
In Kerry, okay.
In the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere. Well, Kerry is somewhere, according to the people who live in Kerry. So.
Probably.
And it's a little bit different than Barcelona, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
What's the main difference for you living there?
Well, I suppose the place is smaller, so if you make any friendship, I suppose there's less to do, so you take more advantage of what's going on around you. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, of course it makes sense. So you were saying that it's smaller. So do you think it's a more intimate place? You get to know people better?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Anything you miss from Barcelona?
Yeah, the availability of courses and culture events and all these kind of things. But I have nature here, which I love. So. There
you go. Okay, sounds good. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at a few headlines and decide how to create a headline. The first thing we're going to do. Give me just a moment here because I need to. Sorry, I have to share my screen, and I want to get to. I'm afraid to do this, but I'm going to go to the New York Times, which is my least favorite newspaper, but it's the one I probably read the most. Hang on just a second. Let me close. Sorry, hang on a second. I just have to close a few windows here. Share my screen.
Can I shut off my camera? I can. Yeah. Yeah.
If you don't have to have the camera on. It's not a problem. Okay, so right now, I don't know if you can see this because I have to monitor this on a second computer. Hang on just a second. I have to open.
Can you send us?
Oh, here we go. Okay, I
link?
see it. Sure, if you want. Yeah, hold on a second. It's just the New York Times, but here in the chat window. There you go.
So we have to make choose. I mean, we have to pick up an article or something like that from the internet, and we change the headline of that.
Well, we're going to do it together first, and then the headline that you create is going to be a personal headline, not one that we see. Let me stop sharing my screen here. Hold on a second. The problem is if I share my screen, I can't see who's in the class, which is a little difficult. But right now, I just clicked on the New York Times. So why doesn't everyone open that link?
I have it.
Okay, great. So what I want you to do is to choose a headline, right? And let's do a quick analysis and decide what goes into a headline or what doesn't go into it. What we're going to do is we're going to try to transform the headline into a complete idea. And that will give us a technique to use. We're going to figure out how to create a headline.
Okay.
So you can speak freely. I'm not going to call anyone. Someone pick a headline for us. Tell us the headline, and let's see what it would be like if it were a full sentence.
Okay.
You want to go first, Gina?
No, I'm just looking for one.
Oh, okay.
Arts.
By the way, anyone can speak freely, so
Okay.
I'd rather do that than call on you because I want us to be an open discussion.
Okay. Sorry, I can't because internet speed is very weak here in Iran.
Ah, okay,
Because of the filtering imposed on the internet, I'm using anti-filtering.
Okay. So let me give you one. Okay. Let me give you one.
I get
Okay. Yeah.
now.
You have it now?
Yes, I have now.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's pick a headline, and we're going to expand it. Let's see how it is now, and see what it would be like, to see what kind of words we need to take out or put in. Okay, so who's got a headline for us?
Okay, I have one. In travel, there is 36 hours in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico. I just don't really know what's on, what's this about, but
36 hours in San Miguel? Okay. So like this, in the chat window, is that right?
Sorry?
Look in the chat window, is that right? In the chat?
What is the chat window?
On the right side, the verb link chat box where I'm posting the links.
Yes, sure, yeah, that's it.
Okay, great. So, what's missing from that? We typically have a subject, a verb, and then something else. So what's missing? In other words, what words can we put back in to make that sentence to make it a sentence?
Well, we need a verb to start with.
Great. Choose the verb.
I just don't really know do I have to know what the news is about, or?
No, I don't want you to know at all because I want us to use the headline. The headline should somehow give an idea of the article, or it should grab our attention.
Okay.
Right? So.
Yeah.
Spend.
Spend. That's a great verb. So right now we have spend 36 hours in San Miguel. How would we change the word spend to make it fit? Because right now, spend 36 hours in San Miguel sounds like an order, like I'm telling you to do it.
So I spend.
Okay, I spend. Now the only problem there is that means you do it all the time. It's a habit. Because you're using the present tense. I spend 36 hours in San Miguel every year. That could be a good way to put it if it's a habit. Or, Gina, you could change the form of the verb. So instead of saying spend, oh, Inga is saying, Inga, you can speak. You don't have to just type. What's your suggestion, Inga?
I suggest spend.
So the past, right?
Hold on.
By the way, Inga, could you post the link to that article? Because Star is asking where are we in the article. Can you just copy and paste the URL in the chat window for us, Gina?
I'll do that, yeah.
You can say how to spend. Yeah. You can say how to spend 36 hours.
I'm trying. Hold on. I can't. I don't know how to post this.
Just copy and link, copy and paste the URL from the URL bar at the top of the browser.
Just.
But Iman, could you say that again? That was an interesting idea.
How to spend 36 hours in San Miguel? You can.
That sounds
yeah.
like a. That sounds like a very. Yeah. It sounds like a good idea. So, why would you change it to how to spend instead of I spent 36 hours? What's the difference there?
In this way, I'm trying to make a question that will grab attention of the reader, and at the same time will try in between himself to answer the question.
Yeah,
and
okay,
see
great.
if it's correct or not. Yeah.
So, if you saw that title, How to Spend 36 Hours in San Miguel, what would come to your mind? I agree that it's very attention-grabbing. Attention, look at this in the chat window. It's very attention-grabbing.
Yeah.
What kind of images do you want to invoke in the mind of the reader? In other words, what do you want them to imagine?
Yeah, I would expect that something like advisors do this, not to do this. Something that is good for you as a tutor or for a visitor, and what is like a warning for something not to do, or yeah, maybe in this way. If the title like that, I expect it to be kind of advice, but
Yeah.
But the old title, which is the original, me that it's like kind of story. Someone is
Okay,
telling
yeah, that's a
story.
really good point. Yeah, it somehow should suggest or tell a story. I agree completely. If I saw that title, How to Spend... By the way, thank you, Gina. That's great. If anyone wants to see the link, it's in the chat window. If I saw the title, How to Spend 36 Hours in San Miguel, I would start to imagine all of these tourist attractions, not in a bad sense. I'd picture the sun, the beach, right? I'd start to picture that. That's just the first thing that would come to my mind. I don't know anything about San Miguel, but that's what it would come to my mind. Inga, if you saw the title, I spent in the past 36 hours in San Miguel, what kind of images would come to your mind? Don't think too much.
You mean what?
How does that
what
change
do I think
our
about
impression?
what will be written in that article?
Yeah, okay, for example.
Mostly I imagine the images with places where the author visited in that 36 hours.
And do you think it would be a positive experience or not?
Not positive.
Yeah, I feel the same way. If I saw it in the past, if I saw that headline, I spent 36 hours in San Miguel, somehow, I don't know why, it would seem like something was wrong. Like I'm telling you about an experience I had so that, you can avoid it. Whereas, if I saw how to spend 36 hours, it sounds like a kind of an invitation. It sounds like something I'd want to do. So just by changing our word choice, we can give a completely different sense of what's going to be in the article. So that was really interesting, actually. Really, really interesting. I want to say a quick hello to Amir. Am I saying your name right? Amir Nasser? Hello, Amir. Is that you?
Amr.
Amir. Is that right?
Yeah,
Hey, where are you calling from today? Where are you?
I'm from Egypt.
You're from Egypt.
Yes,
Two
first
from
time to
Egypt.
me to join this class in Verbling.
Okay, great. So what we're doing today is a speaking exercise, if you're joining us a little late. And the exercise is we're comparing news headlines to, first we're learning how to create a headline and how our word choice will completely change our expectations. And then we're going to create personal headlines. Either we'll take a headline about the place where you are and give your version of it, or you can create a personal headline that's not in the news. So that's what we're doing right now.
I see.
And then we're going to discuss them. I'd like everyone at the second half of class to create a headline, and we're going to ask journalistic questions. Who, what,
You are
when,
now
where,
talking
how.
about 36 hours in San Miguel?
And so the first one is about San Miguel, only because we wanted to see how our word choice could change the expectation of the readers. So by changing it to the past, Inga and I both agree it somehow sounds less positive than keeping it like an open question, how to spend. So we're looking at that. Does anyone else have another headline from the New York Times they want to experiment with?
I have another one, but I can't see that difference. Spending holiday in San Miguel, or spending 36 hours in San Miguel holiday, something like that. I didn't
Yeah,
change
I agree.
that much.
I agree with you. That was another thing I was going to say earlier, and I actually forgot. We can change spend 3 ways. You can say spend in the present, spent in the past, and your suggestion is, hang on just 1 second. Your suggestion is good too. Spending, right? Spending, spelled it wrong, 1 second. Spending 36 hours like this. Okay, and that changes the meaning again. What does that do for you if you say spending? Because that was going to be my suggestion as well.
That would be story, but the reader expected to be kind of revealing something bad that holiday. The word itself, spend, is not good. It's like wasting.
Yeah, okay.
It gave the meaning.
And the fact that we're using the ing form, ing, does that imply that things are more likely to happen? What does that imply to you? Because for me, when I see that, I'm expecting to hear lots of action because of the ing form.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have that experience?
Yeah.
Who's the yes? Gina?
Gina, yeah. Spending 36 hours.
Okay, so let's keep this in mind. We've got a tool now. We can create an open question. We can use the gerund form, the ing form, and it will change our expectations. So I'd like to hear someone else. I don't know, maybe Waji, if you're there. Do you have a headline for us?
Yeah.
Can you pick one?
Yeah, I think so. A visit of San Miguel.
No, but
journey for San
but
Miguel.
let's pick a different one. Why don't you take a look at the front page of, for example, the New York Times, or you could use another newspaper if you want. It doesn't matter. I'll give you another link to the Guardian, just because that's another big paper. Hold on a second. Guardian. Hold on a second. Let me give you the link, just to give you some choice. So the Guardian is from the UK. It's what we call a broadsheet. That's like a major newspaper is a broadsheet. Okay? So while you're thinking, I'm going to ask the group if anyone else wants to pick. By the way, everyone, please turn off your microphone when you're not speaking, because I'm hearing my own voice, and it's a little hard to speak because I keep hearing my own voice and it gets a little bit confusing. Thanks a lot. Okay, so when you're speaking, feel free to turn the microphone on. When you're not, please turn it off. Okay, does anyone else, while Waji is thinking, does anyone else have a headline, a different one, that they'd like to share? Let's try the experiment again. This time, we can use our tool, which is to change the form of the verb and see how that changes our expectations. So does anyone else want to pick one? Silence. How is it possible?
I'm thinking. I'm just checking the garden, Gina.
Okay. Because if not, I'm going to give you one. Hold on a second.
Please do.
Please do, really?
Yes. Gina.
Okay, hang on a second. I'm going to give you one here from The Guardian. Okay, so in the Hangout window. Well, Inga, you got one. What's that? Talk to me, Inga.
Yes, it's
Where's this from? Is this from the Times?
yes, it's from the Times.
Okay, so the thing to do is to start with what it brings to mind. What do you expect to read about? That's where we need to start. So when you read that headline, what does that say to you? What are you expecting to read about? Is that from the front page, by the way?
I think that it suggests like somebody won the lottery.
Okay, yeah. So maybe about the lottery. Let me just say a quick. I'm going to click on her link too, so I can take a look. What you get for 1.1 million. So maybe someone wins the lottery. Any other ideas? What else would you expect to read? Remember, there's no right or wrong answer. What I just want to hear you speak English. So what else would you expect?
Sorry, I can't find the links we are speaking about. And
You don't really need the link, but if you want it, it's here. Sorry, no, that's not it. Sorry.
you mean
you-
it's in New York Times? Or
There's the link in the chat window on the right side. Okay.
I
And
saw the link.
okay.
It's in New York Times.
Hold on. Let me see.
Yeah. Then
Yeah, it's in the New York Times. But it's not important that you read the article. What's important is that you look at her title, what you get for 1.1 million. What's important is that you just read the title and first say what comes to mind. So we have one idea. Perhaps this is about someone who won the lottery. And Gina, what would you... Sorry, go ahead, Amir.
they are suggesting some. Maybe they are suggesting some opportunities to the ways that you can spend $1.1 million at that way, and maybe buying houses and also buying car, or maybe it's about investing in, for example, gold, or investing in books.
Yeah. Do you think that they're making a kind of a joke with this headline? Is there something ironic about it? Do you know what that word means? Irony? Irony.
Yeah, I think that it's ironic because they mean that like it's like a bargain, but it isn't because
Yes.
it's so expensive.
Exactly. Why does it sound like a bargain, Gina? You're right.
Because it's like just anyone have 1.1 million just to spend in a house in whatever that is.
It's as if anyone
As
had.
if.
Yeah.
It's as if.
Do you have 1.1 million to spend on a house?
I don't think so.
I have 1.1 euros to spend. That's how
Right.
much that I have. Okay. And so whose title was that? That was you, Inga, right? Inga, there are some words missing because in a headline we have to only put the essential. So Inga, what words could you put in that you think are missing if you had to add some information? There's no right or wrong. Again, it just has to make sense in English. So what words could you put back in? In other words, think about the verb. So Inga, are you there?
Yes.
You have to do an experiment. Right now, you could look at the sentence that there's a verb missing. What you get for 1.1 million is That's the missing verb. If you think about it like that, it's easier to complete the sentence. So how would you complete the sentence the way it's written? What you get for 1.1 million is what?
It's simple for it's simple house in the middle of Spain.
Ah, there you go. What you get for 1.1 million is a simple country house. Right. Like a dacha. How do you say that in Russian? Dacha?
Dacha.
Dacha. Okay, sorry. A simple country house in Spain. Excellent. I agree. Would anyone else finish the sentence in a different way? Gina, I bet you have a slightly different version of that.
I think you have an expression in English like what you get for 1.1 million is, do you say peanuts or biscuits, or meaning
Peanuts.
something very little, like
Right.
bag of peanuts? I don't know how you say it.
You're right. Peanuts. That's it. It's peanuts. It means it costs nothing.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Hang on a second. I'll write that here. There you go. Sorry. That's what I wanted to say. There in the chat window. What you get for so in other words, Gina, what do you get for $1 million?
What do you mean?
What do I mean? Earlier, you said it sounded like something, and you can use that to finish the sentence. You don't get peanuts for 1.1 million, but what do you get if you're rich?
But you mean I have to finish the sentence that it makes sense, like you get mansion close to Manhattan, or I don't understand.
Yeah, well, there's no right or wrong. For example, what you get for 1.1 million is a simple country home. How would you finish it? That was Inga's suggestion.
You get a whole collection of Mercedes-Benz. I don't know, vintage Mercedes-Benz.
I was going to say what you get for 1.1 million is a great bargain.
Okay.
A great bargain. Because that's the joke. That's the irony. But yeah, you can get a collection of Mercedes-Benz. That's also possible. Basically, you can get whatever you want if you have the money. I think that's part of the idea here. Okay, maybe we have time for one last headline. Is there another headline out there in The Guardian or in the Times that you'd like to analyze here? Because what I'd like to focus on is, right now we have two tools. One is to change the form of the verb, and that changes our focus or what our expectations. Another one here is to add a description, and that's what we did here. We added a description by putting the verb to be and then a kind of an adjective or a description. What you get for 1.1 million is a bargain. What you get is a simple country home. So now we have two ways that we can create or change a headline. So these are interesting tools. Okay, so one last headline. Does anyone else have one they'd like to share? Or pick one randomly. It doesn't really matter.
I have one.
Go for
A
it.
luxury of 1.1. Yeah, a luxury of 1.1 million dollars.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear that. Say it again, please.
The luxury of 1.1 million dollars. The luxury. Yeah.
You're going to have to just write that word because it's for some reason I can't quite make out what you're saying. The connection is a little bit shaky.
Yeah, is it a problem with my connection?
I can hear you, but it's a little bit fuzzy, so I just couldn't hear that word. Could you write that word? A what? Could you write that in the chat window for us, Imet? Just because I couldn't hear what you were saying. Yeah, I know you can write in the chat window, but what was it that you said? Write the word that you said. Just because I couldn't hear what you were saying in that last one. Okay, so while he's doing that, what I'd like to do is I'd like you to look at the two newspapers that we've looked at, okay? And I'd like you to either choose a headline. Ah, okay, luxury. Got it. Okay, I couldn't hear the word luxury. So what you get for $1.1 million is, so Ahmed, the full sentence is what? What you get is the luxury of $1.1 million. So is that a description of what you're getting?
No, it's the title.
So say the full title for me. Let's see how it sounds.
It's just like that. The luxury of $1.1 million.
The luxury of $1.11 million. Well, the only thing I would say there is I don't know what my expectation is. Well, okay, luxury gives me an expectation. But sometimes having a verb that expresses an action or having a descriptive word, they might grab our attention more because they will lead us in a very particular direction. So what is it about luxury, or what is it about that amount of money that we could add? So for example, I could say the unexpected. I could say the no, it wouldn't be unexpected because $1.1 million.
Or having the luxury, yeah. Or maybe we could add having the luxury of $1.1 million.
Having the luxury of $1.1 million is, can you add a descriptor? Is what?
Is your life dream, or can't say?
Is like a dream. Okay. You could do it like that. Is like a dream. So think about this when you think about your headlines. Adding a description at the end using the verb to be, or changing the form of the word, in this case having, the gerund form. What I'd like you to do is think about, go for it, Gina. Speak, Gina, speak.
Okay, I'll pass you the link for this one. It's in the Times. It's pretty funny.
Okay, so read the title for us and tell us what expectation it gives you.
Okay. University student fried flatmates hamster in drunken binge. I don't know what is a drunken binge. Being drunk?
And you live in Ireland and you don't know what a drunken binge is?
No.
I'm just kidding, everyone. A binge, does anyone know what a binge is? I'd like to hear your example. Does anyone know? Anyone? No?
Is
Okay.
it the smallest unit of pounds or like that?
The smallest what?
It's kind of currency or money thing.
Oh, no. Here, the word binge is an action. So a drunken binge is, in this case, uncontrollable drinking. That's a binge. It's an action.
Okay.
You could have any kind of a binge. It doesn't have to be with drink. You could have an eating binge, right? You could have drinking binge, anything. Okay, so how does that change our expectation? University student fried flatmates hamster in a drunken binge. Geez, what do you think we're going to read about?
I think well, I wrote the article. I read the article. So, well, just someone who's been convicted for frying a hamster. I don't know.
Let's try a little experiment, Gina.
Okay.
I want you to use one of our two tools that we looked at, changing the form of the verb or adding an is, a to be, to the end. So I want you to change that. I want you to change the sentence, if you could, and see how it changes our expectations. You can rewrite the sentence in any way you want, but choose one or both of those tools. And
Sorry,
so
one was a question and to change the form of the verb, is it?
Yeah, to change the form of the verb or adding a to be and a description at the end. Just like we did with the 1.1 million. So give it a shot. Can you hear me?
Yes,
I think I lost.
yes.
Okay, great. So give it a try, and I'll help you with the form if you need to. Want to try with the verb?
Okay, let me think. University student.
Don't think too much. Don't think too much. Try to do it automatically.
Okay.
Let's see how it sounds. So how could you change
Okay.
the form of the verb? Let's start with there.
University student to fry flatmate's hamster in drunken binge.
Let's get rid of university student. Too much information.
Okay.
What would it be like if we started with frying? Frying flatmate's hamster in a drunken binge. Now we have. Now it's getting interesting.
Okay. Frying flatmate's hamster in drunken binge can lead you to prison or something like that. No.
Excellent. Can lead you to prison. Maybe not lead. Frying flatmate's hamster in a drunken binge can land you. We say land you in jail. Land you in jail. Excellent. Excellent title. Excellent headline. Okay, so we've seen two ways we can change a headline. What I'd like you to do now is think about where you live and what's going on, and I'd like you to give your own headline. The rest of us are going to be reporters in the newsroom. We're going to try to figure out what the story is by asking you questions, the normal reporter questions, WH questions. WH questions are questions that begin with WH. Who, when, what, where. And then we've got the one without the WH, how. But we've got different versions because we've got how much, how many, how often. The only thing I'm going to say here is one rule. I don't want anyone to repeat the same WH word. So for the next question, you're not going to, if someone says, where did it take place, then the next person cannot use the word where. So we're not going to repeat. When we get to the end of our WH questions, then that means we've got the news story. Okay? So I want you to create a headline and we'll figure out the story. Does anyone have a headline, a personal headline? Think about where you are. Think about what's going on. Think about how you would report the news, as it's different, in a different way than what's in the newspaper.
Okay, can we say political headlines?
Sure. This time we can.
Yes. Okay. When will Iran and the U.S. relationship got better?
Okay, great. So, can you write that headline for us in the VerbLink chat on the right side, if you don't mind?
Okay. When will better relation?
Okay, everyone else. By the way, Fabian, the links that we have were just to look at the headlines in major newspapers. So we looked at the New York Times and we looked at the Guardian. But we're so you can certainly look at those if you want. But right now we're creating our own headlines. Okay, so the title is When Will the Relationship Between When Will Be Better? Okay, this is a good idea, but it's not a headline yet. We have to change it. So why don't we think about first of all, be better needs to change. So let's change that first. Can anyone think of another way to say be better, a way that sounds more natural in English? Gina says improve. I like that, Gina. I agree. What do you think, Sabori? Can we use improve here?
Improve not. There is no relationship to improve that.
Well, that's true. There is a relationship, but it's as if there isn't a relationship.
Yeah.
But for the purposes of the headline, improve, Gina's suggestion is correct. It sounds better. So when will it sounds more natural. When will the relationship between Iran and the US improve? Okay, I'll tell you what, Sabori, you've got a point. There is no relationship. So how could we express that if we instead of using improve?
When the relationship between Iran and US become normal.
Become normal. Okay, great. If you're reading a newspaper, we probably wouldn't say become normal. Does anyone know how we could transform the word normal to show become normal? Gina says normalize. That sounds good to me. What do you think? Okay, SAvoy?
Yes, normalize.
Okay. Okay, so SAvoy, let's try using one of our tools. Let's take normalize as a verb. Let's change the form. And if we change the form, we're going to create a perfect headline. So I'll leave it up to you. You can use the present, you can use the past, or you can use the gerund, the ing form. And let's see how it changes your headline. Want to give it a shot? You don't have to write, just speak. But let's use normalize as the verb.
Normalize. So, what caused the relationship between Iran and the US to normalize? Or,
Was that when or what?
what?
What? Okay. Okay. Let me give you a suggestion. That's a good idea, right? The idea is great. But to express it as a headline, we have to be really, really concise. So here's how I would change it, by changing the form of normalize. By the way, the question is great. What could normalize the Iran-US relationship? That's fine. Here's my suggestion. Take a look. Read that for me, SAvoy.
Yeah. Normalize the relationship between...
Yeah, normalizing. Normalizing.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now, it expresses the idea that you want to say, what could do it, but it says it in a more compact way. So let's go with that as a headline for now, normalizing the relationship between the US and Iran, or, as Gina said, normalizing the US-Iranian relationship or the US-Iran relationship. Okay? So, now we're going to be journalists. Everyone in the class is going to ask a question to you, and we're going to try to figure out what the story could be. Maybe we don't have time for, I want to do more than one, so maybe we'll limit it to 3 or 4 questions at the most. Okay? So we're going to try to figure out the story by asking who, what, when, where, how, or why. Okay? And you, SAvoy, are going to try to give us an opinion, and then that will suggest what kind of story we would write. So Gina, you've got a lot of suggestions. What would be the first question you might ask? Gina, you there?
I'm here. Which country should take the initiative?
Yeah, by the way, you can just talk. You don't have to...
I know, but because I have to switch it on and off and on and off.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes it's just better to write.
Okay, which country should take the initiative? Interesting. Before we answer, let's get maybe 2 more, and then we'll look at them together. So the next person has to ask a question. By the way, I'm getting babies in the background, so turn off your mic, please. I'm hearing children or something. The next person has to ask a question, but not using which. The next person has to ask a question without using which. Okay? Maybe I can have Waji. Want to create a question for SAvoy?
Which country is far from development?
Which country is far from development? Was that you, Waji?
No, I'm his sister.
Oh. What's your
Hi,
name?
everyone.
What's your name?
I'm Hafsa Malik.
Say that
I
again,
want to
please.
join class. I'm Hafsa.
Hassa?
Yes, you may say.
Okay. Hello. Nice to meet you.
Hi. Thank you so much.
Okay. Your question one more time, please. What was it?
I was asking that which country is far from development nowadays?
Is that about Iran or the US?
Maybe in between these 2 countries, either Iran or either US.
But see, that doesn't match our headline, which is normalizing the relationship. Normalizing the relationship. So it's a good question, but it doesn't really, it doesn't relate enough to the headline. So think about it, and we'll come back to you. Does anyone else have a question, but one that does not begin with which? Anyone? What about Amir? Do you have one for us?
Hello? Yeah.
What do you think, Amir?
You have one with which?
So you still can choose what or how or when or where.
Can I say African feminism?
But remember, the headline is normalizing the relationship between the U.S. and Iran. So we're asking questions about that headline. Okay?
About this headline.
Yes.
Yeah.
What can I say another one?
Relation.
What are the reasons that? What are the causes of contact? What are the causes of conflict between Iran and the U.S.?
Okay. So what are the causes
or sources of the conflict between Iran and?
Okay. What are the causes or sources? Good. Causes or sources. So we've got which country should take the initiative. Gina has another question. How long has the situation been going on? That's an interesting question, Gina, because the answer might not be as obvious as you think. And finally, what are the sources? What are the sources? So,
would you say what are the sources of the conflict or of the lack of communication? How would you? What word would you use for lack of communication?
What are the sources of the conflict? What are the sources of... Another way to say lack of communication? Well, I would say breakdown.
Okay.
What are the sources of the breakdown in communication rather than lack?
Okay, thank you.
So, SAvoy, as an exercise, you're going to try to give... imagine you're writing the first paragraph of the news story. You have to answer those 4 questions. So imagine you're writing. Do you think that you could give a first paragraph?
The first paragraph should be the history of the relationship between Iran and America and the sources of when the conflict between Iran and the US started and what are the causes of such conflict.
Right.
And after that we will talk about the...
Let me interrupt just for a second. Why don't you take 3 of those questions that were asked, right, and try to answer them as a first paragraph. So in other words, which country should take the initiative, how long the situation has been going on, and what was the other one? What are the sources? If you were to answer those questions, and keeping it really short, remember this is just an introduction, what would your introduction sound like? In other words, answer each with 1 sentence and see if you can put your answers together. For example, let me give you a quick example. I'm going to just answer each question. I'm going to answer 2 of the questions, right, and see how mine sounds. If I was writing a newspaper, I could say, the United States should, I lost my question there. The United States should take the initiative in reestablishing or normalizing communication between itself and Iran. The situation has been going on longer than the Iranian Revolution. In fact, it stems back to the 1950s and beyond. That would be my first paragraph if I were doing it. What would yours be? So in other words, if you try to give a short answer, just as the introduction, how might it change? Not so easy.
Yes, not too easy. It's maybe.
Well, why don't you think about it? Think about it for a moment. Okay? Think about it, and we'll come back in the last, we've got 5 minutes, so we'll come back to you. So think about it. Let's see if we can get one more headline. We've got about 4 or 5 minutes, and unfortunately I have another class scheduled so I won't be able to stay extra time. Sometimes I can, but today I can't. So does anyone else have another personalized headline that they'd like to share? What about you, Gina? Do you have one for where you are?
I can't think of any now.
Okay. Remember, these are personalized. They're about you. It doesn't have to be about politics. It doesn't have to be what the newspapers say. Okay.
Okay, just let's imagine hypothetical
Sure.
celebrity called whatever. Anyway, I don't know how many times Demi Moore has married. Is it 3 times?
Who?
Demi Moore.
I have no idea.
Okay, let's say that Demi Moore is about to marry her.
No,
Please,
I reject that headline. I have to reject it because
Okay.
that's not a personal headline. If it was about, go ahead. Yes, Amir.
Can we say African families? Which country could help or can help?
Okay. So let's work with that. Why not? So the headline is, I want you to try to personalize this if you can by offering an opinion. That might make the headline work a little better. But it's African famine, right? And which country can help? Which countries can help? Is that it? Like this in the chat window. So, in your opinion, let's try to create. Oh, I see. Okay, I see your sentence now. We can do why don't we try to use one of our tools here? So you can either change the verb, and the verb is to help, right? Or you can add a description at the end. Let's start with help. To create a headline, could you change it by using help, helped, or helping? Would that change it in some way? Let's see if you can rephrase the headline for us, Amir. What do you think, Amir? You can speak, by the way. I just hear typing. I don't know who's talking. Are you there, Amir? Okay, well, I don't hear Amir, but I see Star. Which country is helping to Africa famine? Not helping to, Star. Which country is helping African famine or helping Africa to overcome its famine? Guess what, Star? If you start the sentence with helping, it sounds like a perfect headline. So how would it sound if we started with the sentence with helping? Any suggestion? We've only got about 30 seconds left. We're going to have to stop. So, any suggestions before we go? Silence? Are you kidding me? There we go, Star. Excellent. Helping African, let me rewrite this. Africa to overcome its famine. Here's my suggestion. Oh, Gina has helping African famine disappear. Okay, good. And I put helping Africa to overcome its famine, or to overcome famine. I should get rid of its. Listen, everyone. I have a class right now, so I'm going to have to cut the class a little bit short. I normally just say a few things about the next class, but I don't have time right now. But listen, please follow me on Verblink, and you can see future classes. And you can also go to my Facebook page, and if you do, you can make suggestions about things you'd like to do or about questions you have. You can find my Facebook page on my Verblink profile. Okay, but I have to end the class now, everyone, because I have to teach another class. So I'll see you very soon. Hope to see you in the next class, everyone. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, Amira. It was the first time. Nice to meet you, Gina. First time for
Thanks.
you too. See you next time, everyone.
Bye.